Hello, everyone. Again, my name is George Batah. I am from Damascus, Syria, and I do not dress like this usually. So I'm here to tell you a story of how a group of people were able to enable change in public policy and increase the number of refugees in the United States, the biggest increase in 25 years. But before I start doing that, I'll give you a little background about myself. So I was raised in a family that has 3 golden rules. First one is study harder than you can. Second one is stay away from alcohol and gambling. That's understandable. And the third one is stay away from politics. So if you are from the Middle East, that probably sounds relatable and unusually similar to a situation that we all have been through. But then I was sticking to those rules for a very, very long time, and especially the last part, the staying away from politics. But then the Syrian refugee crisis happened, and I honestly could not take it anymore. I was very shocked that nothing was happening in Syria, in America. No one talked about it, not the New York Times, not the Wall Street Journal. It was happening in Germany, it was happening in Austria, it was happening in Turkey, in Lebanon, in Jordan, but here, no one cared, not even a statement. And here where I knew that I should be that one who's calling for that change. So I did what any other millennial would do. I Googled what is the best way to reach out to the president. And it was pretty straightforward. You just do a petition, you get hundreds of thousands of signatures, and then here you go, the president might read your petition. So I did it immediately. I wrote this petition while I was at an Apple store when I read that news about this truck of Syrian refugees in Austria that they were found dead after 72 hours. I wrote it there at an Apple store. I wrote the petition. It has so many typos, but I did it anyway. I posted it everywhere on Facebook. So here where it got interesting. My grandmother in Syria called me, and she was like, "What are you trying to do?" Now that she is more involved in Facebook than I am, so she didn't like what she was seeing. She goes, "What are you doing? Do you think that America cares about what you have to say?" And she went on like whole rant of like how America is the cause of many problems, and if they just stay away, but that's a totally different story. So she was, "I don't want you to get deported from the United States. Stop doing whatever you're doing." Well, I saw where she was coming from. She is a Palestinian who left Palestine at age 8. She went to Lebanon till 24. She got married and then moved to Syria. So all those countries have their issues. And her conclusion that the best service that one can do to himself is stay away from politics. Don't meddle into anything that is political. No one cares about what you think. No one cares about what you have to say. And although I understood where she was coming from, I fundamentally disagreed with her. So unfortunately, in the Arab world, we live in a society that is changing, but that is not only dictate how you should think or how you should act, but pretty much everything, how you should react, how you should not get involved, how should you like people or not like people based on whatever dynamics that you can relate to. And I honestly didn't like that, and that was very unhealthy because I couldn't see those people just dying and suffering and me sitting here in America while I have all those resources, while I have access to electricity, while I have access to this petition that it sounded like a very hard shot, but I had this opportunity and just like to stay away and say that it's not my thing to do. So here where I decided to keep working on what I did, what I started. And first thing I did is that we assembled a great team of people from all across the world. Some of them are here in the audience. And we started strategizing about how can we move this forward. We worked like hours. We put hours in this for weeks. I remember not sleeping for more than 4 hours every day because I had my full-time job in finance, which has nothing to do about this. But I wanted it to work. So we kept working on it. We kept pushing for it. We kept going to the streets. We kept posting it everywhere. We kept sending messages to journalists, to the media, to everyone to make sure that we can make our voice heard. So long story short here, because this is history, after getting around 100,000 signatures, I personally got invited to the White House to make the case for the refugees. I went there, I was able to talk to make the case in front of the National Security Council, which later I knew that President Obama's decision is contingent on their recommendation. So after 2 days, Secretary Kerry announced that there is a substantial increase, the biggest in almost 25 years, to bring in more Syrian refugees in 2016 and in 2017. So we made it after a long, long walk. We were able to make it, and we were able to see that those people, thank you, that we were very happy because we felt that those people who are facing all kind of suffering will be able to come to one of the greatest countries in the world. So we're very grateful. And that's why I'm here now. I'm here now not to talk about this specific example only, but to empower you to do the same. To do the same for whatever cause you care about, to create whatever campaign that will help create the change that you desire, that you would like to see, that is driving you crazy because it's not happening, because maybe it's actually you who's supposed to take it forward. So I'll start by just giving you like a framework. It could work for you, it could not work for you, but it worked very well for us on how to have a successful campaign, a successful movement, and get people and lobby people around your cause. So number one is be very specific. Don't just say that we want this to be solved. So in our case, what did it mean to bring more refugees? Bring 1,000 more or bring 1 million more and get Donald Trump's head exploded? Well, we had to be very specific because it's all about that when it comes to if you want to be taken seriously from the media, from journalists, from politicians, you have to be specific. So we went with 65,000 for the first year as advised by our International Rescue Committee. So whenever we've been asked, like, why this number, we had a factual reason. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, why America can do that, why it's feasible, why in terms of money, America can afford that easily without legislation from the Congress. So it was a sound number. So this is number one, be specific and define your vision from the very beginning. Second, media. This sounds very negative. Many people do dislike the media, but I believe that the media is very, very important in order to put pressure on whatever corporation, government, or people that you like to put pressure on. So engage the media from the very beginning. You have to know that at one point you need the media coverage. Be very strategic, be very smart about how to get the media. In our case, it's very simple, by the way. You just need to have a good story. Media wants a good story above anything. So just help them to see and to have that good story. In our case, it was how a group of, initially it started like our numbers, how we were able to get all those numbers for only grassroots resources without even knowing anything about activism. Later, it turned into how very young people, I was 23 last year, so a very young guy from Syria who migrated 3 years ago was able to run this big operation. I still do not know how. So the media just need a good story, just leverage that, just be very vigilant about making sure that you need them at one point. Third is reach out. I cannot stress this enough, but how important is reaching out. We as Arabs tend not to like to ask for help. Yeah, and we have dignity, and I just don't ask. Like, if people want to help, they can help. But No. My advice to you is ask for help, because it is very helpful, and people want to help you if they can. They have to know that they are needed. So I'll give you a very tiny example of how that thing helped us tremendously. My friend Tenzin, whom I met at Yale University a year ago, she's an activist in Tibet for like topics related to the Tibetan crisis. So I called her. I was like, we're doing this. How can you help us? So I honestly didn't expect anything. I thought that she would give me some advice, some pieces of advice that will be helpful, but I didn't expect to what degree she will be able to help. So while we were on the phone, she was like, I'll put you in touch with this, I'll put you in touch with this, I'll put you in touch with this guy. And we ended up like by the end of the phone, like knowing 3 very influential people, journalists and a lobbyist, I guess, and then the most importantly, the founder of change.org, who I later, like the same week, got the chance to talk to him, and immediately he was fired up. He was like, we're assigning a team. So that team is the one who organized the visit to the White House, who were able to lobby in Congress on our behalf, who also, they like secured us a spot on CNN. So they were amazing. And if I didn't make that call, probably none of those things would have happened. So reach out. If you are at an event, like talk to the speaker. Maybe he can help you. If you care about this specific issue, why not add everyone on Facebook who is interested in this issue or who is active in this issue? Just do it. You will not regret it. Last piece of advice is engage millennials. Millennials are the holy grail of activism. Those are the most broken bucket of society and busiest bucket of society, but still they always find time to volunteer and to do things, and they always find money to donate, and they're always innovative. They are fired up to do something and to make the world a better place. So try to capitalize on that fact. If they buy your cause, then you'll be okay. So those are the four pillars of this framework that I wanted to talk about. But now I want to talk about something more important, is why I believe that every one of you should be doing what I did. Well, first, again, I had nothing to do with activism. I worked in finance. I have always been that capitalist guy who cares about nothing but himself. Well, that's how the joke goes. But I mean, you don't need any specific background in order to succeed at this. And why you should do it? First, because our countries and our people really, really need us. The Arab world has a lot of problems, like any other place in the world, from dysfunctional governance to a lot of problems in the educational system, to equality between men and women, to inequality between the poor and the rich, economic problems. There are so many problems. And I honestly believe that we, educated young Arabs, do have the key and the solutions for the future. So we can always keep saying that it's not our business, it's too big to, this problem is too big to solve, but I think that it's not too big to solve. So this is number one, because we are needed. Second is because you meet very, very, very interesting people. At every event that I spoke, at every place that I went, at every article I wrote, I got in touch with very interesting people. From the high school students who I got to talk to them and learn more about them, to Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, to who, like you name it. Now I'm sure that I will get a chance to talk to very interesting people after this talk, and I wouldn't be here without this piece of my background. So this will make, I'm sure that you will meet very interesting people throughout your process. Third is that it is very fun. It is very fun to do things that you care about and you're passionate about, and you will get a lot of perks that are really, really unrelated to the cause that you're working on. So I'll give you an example. I never thought, for example, that I would be watching a fashion show sponsored by Claudia Schiffer, but I got that invitation because they were supporting refugees in this case. I never thought that I would be at a Waldorf Astoria gala with Queen Rania, sitting very close to me. So that was like also a pleasant surprise. I never thought that I will be sitting in on the table right next to Henry Kissinger in a conference somewhere that we were talking, like trying to find solution for this. So although this sounds a little bit irrelevant, but it is cool. It is cool that you get to do those stuff and engage with more people and meet more people and not only be always stressed out about your cause, but also have some fun. So here's my message to you today, is that, like, ask yourself, what is your role? Where could it be? What is the incremental change that you can pass through the system? Not necessarily do that change that will change the whole Arab world. Not necessarily that change regimes. Those are things that probably not one person can do. They need way more people. But there are a lot of things that if you and a small dedicated group of people, you can really drive the change that you're looking for. So my message to you is be smart and be strategic in the way that you run your causes, your campaigns, your movements, because we are the hope for a more secular, for a more progressive, for a more equal, and for a more fair Arab world. Thank you very much.